What was your biggest well now I don't want to do it moment? For my 18th birthday my parents bought me 18 lottery tickets. It's a sort of tradition in our family. Didn't win anything except another 3 tickets. The day after my party, my best friend and I were out shopping and I decided I wanted to exchange them for the other tickets. So we stopped at the nearest gas station. I won $500. As we were leaving I was considering splitting the money with my friend. Until we got in the car and she told me to buy her a new phone. I was silent for a moment out of shock and she added, "That money is mine too. I drove here, I gave her $10 for gas. We are no longer friends." It literally costs you nothing to share this. While I was at a jeweler shop buying my ex-girlfriend's engagement ring, she called and was screaming at me for having got the wrong kind of pot roast for a dinner we were hosting. I stood there, listening to her scream and cuss me out, and decided I didn't want to do this for the rest of my life. Happily married now to a woman that is way chill and never screams at me on the phone. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thank you for the awards. About 10 years ago I was asked to visit a client in a country I wasn't too sure about. Not a problem though. I'll just check the security advice first, if that's okay. That advice was when checking into your hotel. Ensure you have an inward facing room to minimize the risk of ricochet. You can find someone else to go see that client. Thanks all the same. As a kid, every time you're just about to say thank you and then your mother feels the need to jump in and ask you, what do you say? I was a pretty quiet kid. I wasn't shy, I just knew when to shut up. Whenever someone went, "Oh she does speak," or "Oh wow I thought you were mute," always made me want to shut down. IDK if this counts, but I don't want to get in the shower, but once I'm in I don't want to get out. Nobody wanted to coach Little League when my son started about 7 years ago or so. So if I wanted them to play, I'd have to coach. I've been doing it every year including All Stars and the program is pretty big now, but I wanted to stop so many times and it all is related to the parents. They are unbelievable. Your kid is not as good as you think they are. I've had to physically stand between a 14-year-old umpire and a parent approaching him screaming, "Are you out of your freaking mind?" First off, it was a strike. Your son is out. Second, he's 14 and are you out of your freaking mind? My mother always tells me something obvious whenever I try to do something, then immediately starts bragging to anybody nearby that I would never figured out how to change that tire / wash those dishes / vacuum that rug if she hadn't told me how to do it. It has become a common thing recently to just drop whatever I'm doing and leave it unfinished until she does it herself. I hate having anyone hover over me just so they can treat me like a brainless moron who only exists at their personal amusement. My mom's most common complaint about me is that I apparently never do things without her telling me to, but the fact is, I will start doing stuff and then she'll tell me to do it while I'm doing it. Here's a regular occurrence that happens in my house. 1. I think about doing the dishes. My mom doesn't tell me to. 2. I go to the sink. I put some soap on the sponge and I grab a hold of a dirty dish. There is nothing I could possibly be doing other than starting to do the dishes. 3. Right before I actually start scrubbing, my mom tells me to do the dishes and then complains about how she has to tell me to do everything. 4. I then want to just throw the dishes in the sink and scream, but I can't do that, so I just imagine scenarios in my head until I'm done. 5. Repeat again and again and again. I read a ton of fanfic, and I'm that type to never forget to leave a kudo and a nice comment for the author thanking for brightening my day for free, except when I see at the end of the fic a snippy 40 authors note. How I know you hate to be reminded, but comments cost you nothing. And I can't believe I have to break it to you, but we can't create in vacuum blah blah. I'm fine with people genuinely asking for comments, but those who patronizingly demand them make me just click out. Petty, I know. Coming out of my room to socialize with family / guests, only to get a comment like, "Look who came out of his cave for once, look who's about to go right back in it." When you're in the mood to clean or wash the dishes, then your mom calls you lazy and tells you to do it. Whenever my wife changes something up in her looks and we are out with friends, there is always that one friend who has to specifically comes over and makes a show asking me, OMG, don't you just think she's so beautiful? Why don't you tell her how beautiful she is? To which I want to say, of course I do. Do you think we wait for your presence to have affectionate loving moments? F off. I don't need your help to be a good partner. I just leave it at yes. Of course I do though. A big name trainer came to the barn where I kept my horse. Totally different discipline, but I had absolutely no problem with her and her dozens of students being there. I happen to be pretty good at certain things that this trainer simply could not do. She was very well known, but not necessarily good at her job. So she had me give her students pointers from time to time. I love all aspects of the sport, and I enjoy working with younger riders, so I gave them pointers. You can see where this is going before long. I was essentially teaching her students. She was getting paid hundreds of dollars for me to teach her students. One night, she used my horse for one of her lessons and got mad at me because her student couldn't ride it properly. Imagine a banjo player trying to squeak out a tune on a clarinet. It's not that the student / couldn't ride it properly, she just didn't know how to finesse the situation. Essentially, the trainer thought that since I was working with the student should be able to ride my horse perfectly. Hell, I couldn't ride my horse perfectly, so I pretty much stopped coming out when I knew they would be there, and if they were there, I stayed away. As much as I loved working with the kids, that ruined it. Reading. I like reading, but the moment my mom / a teacher tells me to read, I just don't feel like it anymore. When you say sorry and they say you better be. Never wanted to take back my sorry so bad. In my elementary school, they graded us on how many books we read, which took the fun out of reading and made me hate reading from 1st grade to 6th grade. I definitely would read more during that time if they didn't make it mandatory. Trying to push through depression and start cleaning the house and people talk to you like an idiot. I only clean when no one is home now. When someone says want to hang out, it's not like you're doing anything right now. Doing nothing suddenly sounds more pleasant than hanging out with you. Like / share if you agree. Thanks. Now I'm never going to. When I was younger, all those times I was thinking, you know what? I'm finally going to get around to X. And then as soon as I get up and I'm about to do it, either my mom or dad would say, hey, at 0x1s. How about you do X now? And then I'm infuriated and I'm no longer in the mood to do X. I was 16 with a very short boy haircut that I'd had since I was 5. I was asked to be bridesmaid for my brother. Was always a tomboy. I expressed some concerns about how my hair would look with the fancy garlands that the bride was planning for us to wear, as I thought I'd look silly. Was told, well, you'll just have to grow your hair. Then I'm out. I'm in my 50s now. I have to this day never been a bridesmaid. According to YouTube statistics, X% of my viewers aren't subscribed. So subscribe if you haven't. I mean, it's probably right, but it makes me not want to. Asking me to anything, as I was just about to do it. Having to read a book for school. When I start a sentence and I'm immediately interrupted for no real reason, then they'll have the nerve to ask what I was saying. When you go back to school, it'll just be you in a classroom and the teachers teach on Zoom. Basically, we go back into school, but just to do the same thing we did at home, but with a higher risk at COVID. I had a huge crush on this girl in college. We were a part of a friend group, but we got along very well, so we spent a lot of time together. We went out a few times, and she was very flirty with me. But whenever I said something semi-romantic, she'd ignore it. Then I found out she'd started dating another guy. I wasn't jealous, just peeved because it honestly felt like she was leading me on and kept me around as rebound in case this guy fell through. 3 weeks later, a friend told me that she'd broken up with the guy. He only wanted to sleep with her, whereas she wanted a relationship. At a party later that day, I was chilling under a blanket on a couch when she suddenly got under the blanket with me, pressed her leg on mine, and said, hey, you know, our friends said we'd look really cute as a couple. I stared at her glowingly beautiful face, which till now is still unmatched by anyone I know. Gave a smug smile and said, oh, but then we'd ruin our friendship. Then I got out of the blanket, grabbed the biggest bowl of chips on the table, and went out to the backyard to bask in my swelling pride. 5 years later, I still regret doing that. I'll happily go down on people I'm dating pretty much any time they like. But I swear to God, if I feel your hand on the top of my head, no, just no.